Well, welcome back to our channel. This is part 2 of surviving a house fire. We want to thank you guys first of all for not only watching the last video, kind of hearing our testimony and hearing our story. We had a lot of support and awesome comments on the last video. This is part 2 where we answer some of the questions that you guys had for us. We had an amazing amount of comments and questions asked, a lot of prayers received, and
we are continuously blown away by the support and just everywhere the video has gone.
Not only do we want to thank you guys for that, but now we're here to answer some of your questions.
So is Otis.
Hi, buddy.
Alright, so one of the most asked questions was if I had any lingering issues from my head injury. They completely cleared me when I was in the hospital. I had so many MRIs, CAT scans, brain scans, the whole deal. I had nurses, neurosurgeons, and speech path come in and do all sorts of crazy tests. One of them, they had me count back from 100 by 7, and I was like, are you kidding? I couldn't even do this without a brain injury. So yes, they cleared me. I sometimes think I have short-term memory loss, but I think a lot of that was the medication that we were on for so long.
And part of it is that she just doesn't have a very good memory to begin with.
Yeah, I'm a little ADD. But I have lost my sense of smell. We're thinking it's from my brain blade because I had the skull fracture in the back and then my brain blade was in the front. So we're praying that comes back. It's one of the most frustrating things that I never imagined.
But on the positive side, when I don't smell good, then she doesn't smell me. So that's one positive that we can take away from that.
Yeah, or he makes me do all the poopy diapers. Another commonly asked question was, how has your marriage been taxed or stressed by all of the trauma? Praying for ongoing unity.
So, in case you didn't know, so when Rachel and I were in the hospital, we actually had to stay in separate rooms because of Rachel's brain injury. She couldn't handle a whole lot of foot traffic coming into the rooms and visitors. So we actually were separated for the majority of the time that we were in the hospital, which that part was pretty hard. We didn't get to see each other every day because our injuries, yeah, we couldn't move. We were on bed rest, or our injuries just, would take over some days. Some days the pain was just at a point where we didn't really feel like doing a whole lot.
We basically had to schedule times to go see each other to get wheeled to each other's rooms.
And then after the hospital, obviously that's something that we were just waiting for. We were so excited to be in the same bed again, so excited to just be with each other on a day-to-day basis and really just get out of the hospital, because hospitals aren't really that exciting when you stay there for almost a whole month.
Can't quite cuddle yet.
Still working through some things.
We sleep separate. We don't touch yet.
But since the hospital has been a lot better, there's still stuff that we're working through. Most of it is recovery related. We still are dealing with a lot of the injuries that we have, and it's just going to take a while. Being able to take care of Brindley and just be together is awesome. It's a struggle, but it's been awesome just to be back together.
To add on to the hospital, there was one point where I can remember being with my mom, and we texted. Travis and I texted because that's how we communicated, just down the hall, and he was just struggling and ready to get out, tired of seeing the same walls every day and being on bed rest, and I just broke down. And I don't cry. I think I cried 4 times in the hospital, and everybody there said, I think this is the first time I've ever seen you cry. And I said, don't get used to it. But that was just the first time that I broke down and wanted to get out and to be together more than ever.
The first time that you wanted to be together?
No, it was just the break. It was just the breaking point of not having a normal life, and knowing that we won't have a normal life to come back to. Now being out, Travis in particular, I have seen just the way he has been able to serve me and show his love is just a way that I never imagined. For those who don't know, he had to do all my dressing changes
Every other day.
for probably a month or two. And thankfully he's not grossed out by blood, but it's just something that you don't ever imagine needing to do.
So now I'm going to go to my side, the questions that I received. One that I kind of like, just because of my personal life and what I've dealt with even prior to the fire, is someone asked, how do you handle PTSD, bad depression, anxiety, and all the hard mental health stuff? So first of all, mental health is a very real thing. I struggled with it in high school and after high school, and dealt with anxiety my whole life. Honestly, when we got into the hospital, I didn't really think much of it as far as triggers or how this would affect our mental health.
It's just kind of what it was. We just kind of went with it.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the shock factor of being in a house fire. It wasn't super long after we got in the hospital that we started to realize that we did have some things that bugged us. You know, for instance, my big thing is exit points. It was a trapped feeling being in a barn upstairs area with really 2 exit points, and one of them not really
An ideal.
an ideal option, which is what I ended up going through, which is running down and through the fire. But since we've been out of the hospital, I constantly am aware of my surroundings and how we'll exit a place. I've also had a really hard time with smell. It's one of those things that I remember smelling the fire. I remember watching the fire and just seeing it happen in front of me. For me, smell has just been a huge trigger. I've noticed that around bonfires or when people are grilling, that it's one of the first things that I notice that catches my attention. Really, since the hospital, Rachel and I have seeked out a trauma therapist, and we go there just about once a week to kind of just talk to someone, go through what we're dealing with, what we're thinking, and really just have someone to talk to and kind of vent about these issues. Because like I said, mental health it's a real thing, and if you don't understand it, it's one of those things that maybe you won't until you're in that place. A lot of anxiety since the fire, but you know, it's a day-to-day battle. We're working through it one day at a time, and we're here.
And for a long time too, right after the fire, right after we got home, we were finally together, and both of us in the evening would kind of have flashbacks of that night. I don't know if it was just around the time it happened or because we were both together, we were just scared it would happen again. So that was something that was hard to deal with. In the hospital, we both had the same trigger. Their smoke detectors went off.
And in the burn unit, the smoke detectors went out.
And it was just a drill. But I was with my nurse at the time, and my mom was there, and I think my heart rate spiked through the roof. I was like, I am not jumping out a window again. Can you please make sure there's no fire? Like, just go double check. Are you sure? And she just kept trying to reassure me, but nothing would help. Yeah, just things that we never imagined would happen, now we're very aware of. Another question that I got a lot was about my C-section recovery with the burns. To be honest, I don't know if I would have known that I had a C-section if somebody didn't tell me. For a long time I was sore, but they had to cut through a 3rd-degree burn to do the C-section. So I couldn't tell you if I was sore from the burn or sore from the C-section. Getting in and out of bed was hard. I had a lot of help to do that. I never thought about having a C-section before, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know much about it, but yeah, I'm cleared to work out, hopefully soon, because we're ready.
You sit in bed for a month and that'll do it to you.
Yeah, going up and down the driveway, we're taxed. But yeah, I'm sure I will have a crazy scar between the burns and the C-section, but Travis keeps telling me we have a story. That's been one hard thing for me, is looking in the mirror and seeing all these scars, but we have a story and we're alive. So, somebody asked how much of your stuff was damaged in the fire that you have since had to replace. Any baby things? All of the baby things were safe. We had kept that in my parents' house. So all of the shower items, all of her clothes, everything was safe.
And we actually moved a lot of stuff over to the house that we were building. We knew that it was going to be a tight crunch between Rachel's pregnancy and moving into the house, so we thought maybe it would be smart, move some things over, because the baby obviously wasn't here yet. And it ended up being one of those things that's like, wow, thankful we did that, because dealing with our own losses as far as clothing goes, it's a nightmare dealing with insurance and just all the hoops that you have to jump through. So we're glad that it was just our stuff.
And we got a lot of our stuff over. A lot of our kitchen stuff made it. We lost all of our clothes, every single item, all of our bedding, and
so if you see us wearing the same outfit in different videos, that's probably why.
And I can't wear pants yet, so I wear the same shorts, so that's why. But another question I had was, how high was the window you jumped out of, and how did Otis get out? The window was probably 20, 25 feet.
It was probably more like 15 feet, but
Really?
regardless, yeah, because you got a 10-foot garage door and 5 feet above that.
So it's probably 20. I'll say 20. 15? 15 to 20 feet.
So the window was about 15 feet.
Yeah. And there was cement under it because it was a driveway. And Travis can explain how Otis got out.
So after Rachel went out the window, I then picked up Otis and kind of shoved him through the window.
Legs.
Yeah,
his legs, right?
picked him up by his 4 legs, and my thought process was I'm gonna throw him out the window and just pray that he makes it, which kind of leads into the next question that I got probably the most of, which was, did Otis get hurt at all? We actually thought that Otis didn't make it at first. After I made it out of the fire, I went inside and Rachel's mom came and checked on me, and I asked her immediately if Otis was okay. At that point, I had already checked that Rachel was okay, and so my next thought process was, what happened to my dog?
Because if you have a dog, you know how important they are.
Yeah, Otis is probably the best dog that, Rachel's ever had, because she's never had a dog. But Otis was the first dog that I could call mine. But anyways, so Rachel's mom came in, and she did not think that he made it, which at that point, it was devastating. I obviously had more things to be thankful about, such as Rachel being alive and myself being alive. At that point, there were still a lot of unknowns. After I woke up in the hospital the next day, my dad actually told me that the firefighters found Otis. So the crazy thing is that Otis went out the same window Rachel did, and he didn't have a burn, didn't have any broken bones, no scratches. He honestly, he limped around for a little bit from what we were told, but then he was right back to his normal self, sleeping a lot, playing fetch, and man, we're just very thankful for that. Would have been a little bit more tough if Otis wasn't around, and obviously, you got to look at perspective. We're obviously very thankful that each other made it, but Otis was a nice addition to the story, because we love that little boy.
Yeah. And a shout out to our family friends, because they waited until they found Otis.
It was like 1 or 2 in the morning when they found him.
The fire happened around 9:30, and I don't remember when they got there, but they waited until 1 a.m. and then they took him to the emergency vet. They said he was good, and so they took him home for a couple days, and then he went to stay with Travis's mom. A lot of people asked where Brinley was while we were in the hospital. We had both sides of our family. Our parents took care of her. Siblings helped throughout the night. And then my mom would bring her to the hospital every day so we could see her and hold her and just try to get as much of that bonding experience as we could.
It was definitely weird being first-time parents, and
nothing like we expected.
yeah, not getting all that time that you would expect to have with a newborn. You know, we are very thankful for the time that we had with her. We had an amazing support system. Rachel's parents every single day brought her up, and you know, between my family and hers, we just had a great support system and didn't miss out on as much as we could have. That's for sure.
Yeah, we definitely feel like we missed a lot of firsts with her, which is hard, but we'll just make our own. Then I think the last one we'll do is, are you still in a lot of pain? How can we pray for you at this point? Thank you for sharing your story. Currently, I would say I'm not in much pain. My last surgery was on my leg and foot, and that's all healed. They cleared me from surgeries going forward, which is just so crazy. It is just a miracle how fast it is healing, but I don't really have a lot of pain. A lot of the scar tissue gets stiff, so that's kind of what I deal with most is in my foot. It's hard to walk, and my toes. I can't bend my toes because they're stuck. So I have to do like therapy and bend my toes every day. But yeah, pain I would say minimum, but the itchy. Itchy is the worst.
Lots of itchy.
We will wake up in the middle of the night itching, or wake each other up because we're itching.
And the worst part about the itching is that there's not a whole lot that you can do for it. We've taken Benadryl, we've taken allergy pills, I mean, anything that you can think of, we've tried it. The itching is just part of the healing, so it's like on one hand it's a good thing because you're itchy because you're healing, but then on the other hand it's like it doesn't matter what time of day it is. If you get an itch, you just can't do a whole lot about it.
You can't satisfy it.
Yeah, you can just sit there and itch for an hour and it really does not take care of it.
I will say too, again, I don't really have pain, but because of all of the nerve damage, I can't stand in one spot because the majority of my burns were in my legs. And so all the nerves are coming back, the blood is just rushing, and so they just tingle like crazy. So that's probably the worst for me, which is hard.
I would say that the majority of my pain is in my hands. Both of my hands were severely burned, and then of course my feet and ankles were as well, but the area that I notice it the most is my hands, just because, well, we use our hands every single day. Seems like I can't go a day without nicking one of my hands or scratching it or just something along those lines, which...
Even bathing Brinley. One time he got blood on her towel and I was like, what the heck, where did this come from? And I think he just nicked his hand getting her out of the tub.
That part's extremely frustrating, but outside of that, yes, that we'll go back to the itching. that probably has been the worst part so far, is the itching, just because, again, it's not really something that you can control, and there's not really much that satisfies it.
And I think they told us it could last for quite a while.
Quite a while. And then to just kind of finish off with prayers, you know, there's a lot of things that we're thankful for. There's a lot of things that, you know, we still need prayer for. You know, we mentioned earlier in the video about our mental health. Man, prayer works. We've seen it firsthand, and we're just so thankful for all the people that have reached out and prayed for us.
And continue to do so.
Yeah, it really is mind-blowing just seeing how much support we've got through this. From my point of view, I would say mental health is a big one, and then also just going forward, just all the new normals. There's a lot that's changed because of this. We're still getting used to it. We still struggle from day to day. We're human, because although we're thankful, you know, to God for everything that He's blessed us with, there's just still a lot that it's hard to wrap your mind around. It's hard to comprehend or understand why.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, we try to stay strong, and I think for the most part we do. And we can keep each other strong and fight because we have each other. But some days, you know, it just sucks. You can't sugarcoat it. It's not ideal, obviously. I mean, but how far we've come is just incredible and mind-blowing. I was just looking at pictures last night, and to see the progress in just 3 months is amazing and nothing short of a miracle. That's all we can say.
Yeah.
It's not because of us, and we're not here because of anything we did.
Yeah, so I think that's about it as far as our question and answer goes. To kind of finish off our video, we wanted to not only thank you guys for all your support, for your prayers. We really do appreciate them. We're planning on posting more videos, so if you have more questions, feel free to put them in the comments.
There's still way more that we have not gone over, and we can't even...
It'd be quite a long video if we answered all of them, but you know, if you guys are still curious, we're happy to answer as many questions as we can. Either comment down below if you do have a question. We will also have our social medias listed down below in the bio. So if you want to follow us and follow our journey, feel free to do that. Obviously on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall, telling those lies, pointing out your flaws.